Welcome to the SwitchClicksPodcast, episode 3, recorded on August 19th, 2020. My name is Dakota, and today I'm joined by Devin, Nathan, Tyler, Carson, and a new member, Jagjeet. You can introduce yourself, Jagjeet.
Hello.
Great introduction. Today we're talking about some Fortnite controversy, the new Indie World Showcase that Nintendo just released, and some Zelda Leaks. So let's get started with Fortnite. So here's some context. Fortnite released an update that gives the consumer an option to save 20% when buying V-Bucks if it's purchased straight from Epic Games themselves, which is $7.99 versus $9.99, which is a pretty decent deal. And then hours later, Apple removes Fortnite from the App Store for breaking terms of service. And I think a couple minutes later...
Same with Google Play.
Epic Games releases a video parodying an Apple ad from 1984 against IBM, quoting, "Epic Games has defied the App Store monopoly. In retaliation, Apple is blocking Fortnite from billions of devices. Join the fight to stop 2020 from becoming 1984. So, what do you guys think?
There's a billion Apple products?
Probably.
Well, I mean, it's bad on Apple's end because they're not making any money in the end. Because there's actually a tax that they take off of it. 30% of what Epic Games make goes towards Apple. If they make
I don't know about the word about the taxes.
No, it's 30%. So if whatever, let's just say it's $14.
Really
30% of that $14 goes towards Apple.
Oh, a commission. Yeah. 30%.
Yeah. Commission. They're not making that commission anymore.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the whole problem comes from. I'm pretty sure other apps do have a direct payment method, but I think the difference was they kind of talked it out with Apple, and made sure,
a deal, basically.
Yeah, made sure that it was all good with them when Fortnite and Epic Games. I'm pretty sure they just went behind their back, which makes sense why they kicked them off. Like,
they bypassed that 30% tax, like V-Bucks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's why they got kicked off.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I don't see a horrible they're. Fortnite or Epic Games, they're basically saying we're doing this for the little people, but if I'm being maybe they're, I don't know, it feels it's just billion-dollar company complaining that they are spending, that they don't get as much money from billion-dollar company.
Trillion-dollar company versus billion-dollar company.
To me,
it's true. Epic Games is the underdog here.
I was gonna say it kind of makes sense because I would assume in the deal of we're putting it on our store that whatever contract they had to sign to do that was probably like any purchases made we get a share. But then they go and do you have to go in the Epic Games store, so that probably just ticked Apple off. It's like, no, we had a deal.
Yeah.
I am no businessman. I have not seen any of that. But from my mind, that would make sense. I would be upset if someone broke a deal with me. And even though they are a very rich company, it's like money is money. So.
And I guess the same thing happened with Google.
Except with Google, they're a little less strict over devices.
I'd say they're probably the same amount of strict, but there's a lot. It's an Android device, so you can get Fortnite in 4 different ways.
Do they have that same kind of tax they put on downloading apps? Or
I think so, yeah.
Off apps?
30%, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Just that Google Play makes it easier for people to find certain apps, which is why it's kind of important.
The Google Play Store isn't the only way that you can get apps.
You can literally just go on the site.
Yeah, when I got my Android phone, it started off with 2 different stores, at least, and then you can also, on top of that, download apps from the internet. So, it's not I'm pretty sure with Apple, there's only one way to get apps on that
Very,
device.
very controlled.
Unless you want to jailbreak your phone, which is kind of a pain.
Oh yeah.
Not legal.
Is it not
Yeah.
legal?
Well, not really.
They don't like it if you jailbreak it.
It's legal, but Apple just doesn't like it.
But your warranty goes away immediately.
Oh yeah, fair.
Now, personally, I don't think. Oh, now that Apple's considering on removing Unreal Engine from their devices, it's kind of detrimental towards other developers, and I have a feeling developers are going to blame Epic Games on this, but don't like. It could go either way. I feel like Apple's decision to remove Unreal Engine make a significant impact for Epic Games. However, it doesn't compare to, say, Fortnite's community over PC or consoles. I don't think
You'd honestly be surprised at how big the Fortnite community around mobile is. So some people like make thousands of dollars because there's like mobile tournaments or whatever.
shockingly
So
surprising.
now they
Like
just
I
lose
didn't
their
expect
job.
it myself. I didn't expect it myself.
With Unreal Engine getting removed or something from anything Apple, it sucks. But at the same time, I don't think putting anything on like an Apple device for like games other than like a phone is kind of a second priority. Like you originally are probably going to develop a game for Windows, and then if the game does well, then you'll port it over to Mac. I don't know how many games are made specifically with Mac exclusively in mind. Like I don't think people buy a Mac because I want to game.
But I'd
they're
imagine
not
a lot of
exactly
smaller
known
games
for that.
I imagine a lot of smaller games are ported over, just because, like, I don't know, maybe some more simpler people want to use them, not just the hardcore
Yeah.
gamers.
There are a lot of games that can actually work with mobile. Like Fortnite. Fortnite works well with mobile. Controller
To a
wonky,
point.
but still.
So
Yeah,
now
there's
that Apple is probably going to be removing Unreal Engine games, that's like, I'm guessing here, but that's probably like 20% of all games on the App Store probably run on the Unreal Engine. So that means those
Fortunately,
developer accounts would just be
yeah.
shut down and the game would be removed.
At
Build
least
up.
there are alternatives for many developers, like Unity, for example, is also pretty big.
But is it easy to move over your game? I don't think it's
No,
that
I-
easy.
I don't think
Oh
so.
no, that's difficult, but working a game from scratch is probably the only option they'll have left. In that case,
I think something also to note, it's that this Apple taking away Unreal Engine is not only going to hurt the developers, but it'll also hurt Apple themselves, since less developers, developers that
that's
Um,
also true. Like there's also that risk there that Apple's
Yeah.
taking.
They won't
Yeah,
trust
like-
them as much now because of them basically removing it. Kind of.
Yeah, I think Apple's going to get a lot of flack for this for sure.
Oh yeah.
Both sides are for sure, but
I think that Epic like shot at Apple, but Apple only put a shield up and then put a mine in the HQ. So
yeah, that's kind of a interesting analogy.
we're
but-
just waiting for it to blow up.
yeah.
We're waiting for that court case, because that could make a big difference.
Oh
Court
no!
cases take like months to do though, so we're gonna have
Oh,
to
yeah.
wait
There's
Yeah,
a
like,
lot
yeah.
already
probably
going on.
years.
There's
Especially
a lot.
with this kind of a
Also-
case between these two companies, probably have like 20 attorneys each.
Does Epic
Yeah.
Games even have a case? Isn't Epic Games' case we didn't want to pay money?
Well, their cases they don't want Apple to be a monopoly.
It's unfair.
They want
they're saying it's
they want
unfair.
more developer freedom.
They want more freedom on the money they're making. They want all of it, or a larger cut. And I
I
don't
mean-
think what Apple's doing is fair.
You mentioned the court case, but there's a lot still going on, and I'm pretty sure Apple's winning that one.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Apple's a huge company, so I don't know
Apple's just
what.
gonna announce, "Hi guys, we bought Epic Games."
If they bought out Epic Games, I don't know what my reaction will be.
That'd be crazy.
That would be crazy.
The one
Very
thing
true.
I'm a little Like, does Apple take more of a cut than like Google Play or
I
Android
think it's
does?
equal.
I
Then I
heard
don't see
Apple.
the
I'm
problem.
gonna assume it's equal.
I
But
heard Apple was 30%. Does anyone know the numbers for Google?
It's 30. It's let me see right now.
Pretty sure it's 30% on both. But I think Apple just did something first, like they sued Epic Games first or whatever.
Yeah.
So that means they're in the spotlight for the news, and then Google kind of just went after. So, but they're both getting sued.
Oh, okay.
it's just that Apple is a lot more.
Apple's a bigger name.
Apple
Yeah.
has a lot of leverage because it's the only way to pretty much download any application on
It-
your phone, right? So the
equal
App
for
Store.
Apple.
Yeah, they
Google.
only locked it to one.
It's
basically.
30% for Android as well. So 30.
Okay.
At least with Android, there's alternatives.
Yeah,
Um,
Google doesn't have as much leverage as Apple does.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because so Epic is actually supporting different links to say, hey, you can still get Fortnite on your phone, on your Android phone, if you use these links, and then they have like 4 different ones.
just
Android
like at
sales are gonna
launch, how
spike.
Fortnite was never added to the Google Play Store. They launched Fortnite on Androids. Started
Oh,
just
yeah.
giving it out on their actual site.
Yeah, they did was the Galaxy Store or whatever, and they downloaded it from there, and then later on they did it.
Yeah, I don't remember when they added it to Google Play. I just know at launch it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Well. All I can say is that this lawsuit is going to be pretty epic.
Haha, funny meme.
Yeah, funny. Fun.
Do you think there's going to be a news,
Gosh.
like a news article, where if Epic Games wins, do you think that a news site somewhere, the title for Epic beats Apple in lawsuit, would it be Epic Games gets epic victory royale against Apple in App Store lawsuit?
If it's an educated reporter, then yeah.
That could be our title when it eventually happens.
If Epic Games wins, we'll clickbait it as hard as possible.
Oh yeah, we'll click and everything.
And the second thing that happened was Nintendo had an Indie World Showcase this week, which was kind of a surprise because nobody thought that would be happening, and they all wanted a Nintendo Direct. So the Indie World Showcase had actually a lot of games that I was interested in. I have a few notes here that I have the names of the games I guess I have here, and I'll describe them too. The first game that they showed, not the first one, but probably the second one, was Spiritfarer. It's, I think, an adventure game, but also there's some customization. I'm not sure what it is yet. I haven't looked at the gameplay too much, but I'm pretty sure it is out now. Notes for me was the opening scene looked beautiful. And then I really like the aspect that you can customize the boat, but I have a feeling it's going to be pretty limiting, only because I think every time a new spirit comes on your boat, you get a little room that you can put on the boat.
Yeah, of what I saw, it looks like a fun little, like 20 minutes at a time game. It feels where you want to build up your boat and go on maybe like an adventure. It doesn't feel like a game where I'd be sinking hundreds of hours in at a time. Maybe hundreds of hours in over like a year, but I don't feel I'd be super
I have a
heavily invested
feeling-
in this game.
I have a feeling it's a story-based game and not like an open-world game. Like every character is on a storyline.
Like the game would actually end when you.
Yeah, I have a
play
feeling it
enough.
would actually end.
That makes
There's only one way to find out.
That's true. It is available, I think, for 10% off on the eShop, and it's also available with Xbox Game Pass.
Guys, I got a hot take. Real hot take. Okay, you ready? So
Okay.
here's my opinion. These Indie World games are really just like free iPhone games. You play them for a little bit until you get bored, and you keep coming back to them every once in a while when you're bored on your phone.
Well,
You'd be surprised.
yeah, there are some pretty there are some hidden gems out there too.
Maybe, but I was looking through and it looks pretty cringe to me. It's all that. It's like it had the.
Some indie games, I will admit, are terrible because they don't have something to drive the player to keep playing, and their production value is clearly not as high. But there are also some indie games that are just immensely popular and just they're so impressive. Like,
Like you
But
can
yeah,
see
I
that
get-
Hollow
I know.
Knight
There's
too.
Hollow
what's
Knight's
the-
really fun.
has there been a price released for these games yet?
Some of them, yeah.
What,
I think
what's the price?
Spiritfarer. I think I saw $28.99. including the 10%.
$28.99.
Yeah,
Expensive phone game, my dude.
it looks pretty big for an indie game though.
it is pretty big. They had a full like animated cutscene at the beginning of their presentation. That was crazy.
Hmm.
It looked really
Yeah,
good.
that was-
We are actually unrailed. Aha, funny segue.
Uh-oh,
So
cringe.
Unrailed is coming to the Switch. I thought it was already on the Switch, but apparently not.
Okay.
Nobody's gonna say anything.
Actually, no.
honestly, I
I'm
don't
kind
have
of,
that much to say about Unrailed.
I'm
It's
kind of excited
so
for
because
that.
I don't not that interested.
It's a co-op puzzle game, and I think you can go head to head with other people. So it looks fun.
Yeah, it looks fun. I'm
I
looking
was
at it right
gonna
now.
say, yeah, I'm excited for it as one of the YouTubers I watch did a playthrough of like the PC version. So
The whole
Like-
thing.
not the whole thing. It's not exactly a story-based game. Like you said, it's a team-based puzzle solver. So basically, you got a little train, right? And you have to collect resources from around you to build a track as your train is moving to the next station. So
That's interesting.
in terms of in the beginning, it'll be like a super slow game, right? Like what can you expect? It's just like it's the start. The train's slow. But as it keeps going, it's gonna get faster and faster. So I would actually think it's neat if even like we here all got it and then had a contest of making teams and seeing who gets further.
Yeah, that'd be
fair
fun.
enough. I could see that being fun.
Very poggers.
Wow. Oh yeah, I guess. And then the last game on my list is Bear and Breakfast. That comes out in 2021. But like I'm really into like tycoon games that give me something else than just like a mobile game gives me. Is like, okay, wait 10 minutes. Okay, wait another 20
oh my
minutes.
gosh. Yeah, that's pretty much
But this game
Every
looks like,
mobile
okay,
game.
in the meantime, when this is being built and when you're customizing, you can go and adventure and then get more people to come to your bed and breakfast. And
Yeah.
then I guess probably get materials of some sort.
No,
And
that
you're
sounds
barely
Think
able
about
to-
it, it's almost
You know
like
what that
Animal
sounds like?
Crossing, but like there's no like island.
What if
I
I,
guess,
told you?
yeah.
What if I told
It's more
you?
based on a hotel sort of thing, as opposed to building up a city or vacation location.
That's true.
Sounds like the exact premise of Clash of Clans. Gotta be honest, guys.
Well, Clash of Clans is just it's an entirely different thing.
I don't know, man. You're waiting for things to upgrade. You gotta wait for resources.
I didn't
You
see
invite
actually. I
people
didn't
to your
see any
clans.
timers.
Oh, no timers. Poggers.
I didn't see any timers in the gameplay trailer, so maybe there isn't a timer. I'm hoping there isn't because I want to play this game. And Tyler, you had some games that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I did. Well, I mean, I really only have two games to talk about, but we might as well bring up like the big news, like some of the more popular indie games that either have an update or were shown off, like Subnautica coming to the Switch. That game was, maybe it still is, quite a big game that honestly surprised is only now coming to the Switch.
I can understand why it's like Subnautica. It might not seem like it, but it is an enormous game just for like the
Oh, yeah.
landscape alone, right? Because there's so many
mentioned-
underwater pathways. All the biomes are like immense with tons of secrets, tons of creatures, right? So
Yeah.
I would see it if like the Switch, it's hard to run it. I could see that happening as it is such a larger game.
Well, I mean, if my 2007 iMac can run it, I think the Switch can.
Yes.
um,
Then there's also it is definitely a single player game. So
yeah, which is a little harder to sell on the Switch, but I can still see people getting it, and especially considering Below Zero, it just comes with it.
Zero, yeah.
That's kind of to put it lightly, pretty pog.
I mean,
it is true.
people are forgetting that the Switch is handheld, so you could just take that thing on the go. Hey, wherever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't take my computer on the go, so it's nice to do that. Well, yeah. The other big news shown at the end was an update to Untitled Goose Game, bringing in a second goose to cause even more havoc. It's a small little thing, but hey, it's kind of neat.
I personally haven't tried a Untitled Goose Game myself.
Well, you should.
Only wants
It's
to play
good.
two.
I'm definitely looking forward to this update and seeing how much more chaotic the game will become.
I know it was. It might still be on the Game Pass. I know at one point it was. So
Chaotic
if
neutral.
anyone has that, you could probably pick it up. But I don't know. It might have been removed. Anyway, now to the games I personally found really interesting. Takeshi and Hiroshi is a really cute game where I believe you play as an older brother designing an RPG game for your younger brother. I really think this game is like the art style is adorable. The game idea is really cute, and it kind of hits home for me because I loved, like, when I was younger, I would like spend a bunch of my time making like little games to play on like the trampoline, or like make a board game to play with my brother and sister. So it kind of hits home in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, something I want to say about this game. This might be spoilers. I haven't played the game at all, but this might be spoilers. If you don't want to hear it, you should skip maybe like 2 minutes in the future. But
Alright.
I have a feeling the little brother or the brother who's making the game will die, because I saw multiple hospital things, like hospital polls or whatever, that from like IV and stuff. So
The reason
I mean,
why there's
I have a
I
feeling
kinda
he's gonna
feel-
die.
I mean, the gameplay is 2 hours long from what I heard, so
Freaking ripping chat boys.
it's gonna be a really sad game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It does kind of feel like a really easy ploy to put like, oh no, Hiroshi has cancer. That's not good. Like, I don't know. It does feel a little bit like you could put that in,
Oh.
but yeah,
No, the inspiration for the older brother to make the game is his younger brother is dying. Oh, no.
We're gonna sound really insensitive if this is actually
Yeah, No.
the plot of the
It-
game.
I will probably not play it, even though it is adorable and the storyline's really cute. I will probably not play it because I'm emotional, so if it does turn out to be sad, I will get attached to the characters and have a little breakdown as soon as it ends.
Don't
if it
worry,
does,
it's
as
only
we're
2 hours.
Bruh.
I mean,
Um,
they said the game is phenomenal from what it looks like. So take
yeah,
what
I
you
really.
want, just play the game, and if you like it, you like it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I really like the art style. It almost looks claymation-y.
Probably
Um,
is claymation.
The one game
Stop
that
motion claymation cutscenes, that really like surprised me because it hasn't been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
I thought the whole game was
Um,
gonna be that, and then they started showing the gameplay, and I'm like, oh, that's
Hmm.
kind of boring.
Well, speaking of cool art styles, the second game
Ooh.
I was gonna bring up
segue.
was Card Shark, the game in which you cheat at cards. Though, really, like, if I had to buy one game, this would probably be it, exclusively because it looks nice. Like, it almost looks like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. You know when they did the little storybook section when talking about the brothers and how they found like the 3 ultra magic items or something. It's like the little
Never watched Harry Potter.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Another, I guess, I can't really think of another example. It's like, I really like the storybook cutout kind of look to it. It looks, very
It's
cool.
definitely an
It
interesting
is,
take on the game.
it does feel a little bit like a phone game, but, I mean, it would definitely be a phone game I'd play.
You're talking about Card Shark?
Yeah, it looks a
Card Shark.
little bit. I could see how it looks a little bit like a phone game, but, I mean, if it was on the phone, I'd play it.
Looks pretty high quality for a phone game. And it looks
Yeah,
like
well, I just see like the gameplay feel like it doesn't feel like it's going to be super in depth,
Based on
or
timing,
maybe
too, it
it
seems.
might.
I think it might be pretty in depth. I have a feeling they'll give you they'll teach you how to cheat at whatever card game this is. I didn't actually see what card game, but
It
and
could
then
be multiple card games, right?
Yeah, probably a
Probably.
majority of different things.
like they'll give you different ways to cheat, and then your opponents will be susceptible to certain ways to cheat, and
Mhm.
that's how you win, I guess. And if you use the wrong one, but there's probably a mechanic to like a paying attention mechanic. If your opponent is paying attention to you or not, you'll know. Or maybe you have to watch how your opponent moves or whatever.
It's almost like Punch Out.
Because
where,
the developer said that he's actually going to teach you how to actually cheat. So the
It's
real
kind of
mechanic.
illegal when you think about it. Card reading in real life is definitely
Card
against the
counting
rules.
simulator. Yeah, but the way you explained it, it sounds like it could be like Punch Out almost, where it's like a series of, well, in this case, card games, but like fights where you have to find the weakness to the person to exploit it and end up winning, or you get well, I guess shot. But it's what it seems like.
Definitely like the choice of era that they also chose. Like,
Yeah.
1700s, 1800s kind of time is fairly interesting. It's certainly a better choice than taking, well, modern days, where you simply get kicked out of the casino. You literally just die if you screw up.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, yeah.
You
Those
can't
cutscenes
just
look pretty cool.
gun into a
Can't bring a gun into a card fight.
That American card
Probably
games
in that
be like,
time, they probably could.
Oh no, that's what I'm commenting on. Nowadays, you wouldn't be able to do that, but back
Well,
then,
in some places of the world, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Sure.
back then, all the power to you. If you got a gun, you got a gun.
That's true. Did anybody else have any games they wanted to talk about?
Evergate. The game looks like Ori and like the Blind Force. I think that's the game.
Yeah, that definitely
yeah.
looks like an Ori game.
I love it. It looks so
Yeah.
nice.
Ori and the Blind Forest crossed with Hollow Knight is what the vibe I got from it.
I mean, Hollow Knight's a good game. I still haven't finished it, but still, it's a good game.
The one thing
Still have
about
to try Hollow
Evergate that I thought is the developer or developers, they look really passionate about it when they were talking about it. I could like feel the passion.
Yeah, you can
They've
definitely
really
feel
been.
like it was something they worked on all their life.
Yeah.
It was kind of odd to me that I felt that passion, and then they shadow dropped it, which felt so odd to me. I would think they would probably want to put some advertising behind it and then drop it, but I don't know how well shadow dropping works. So maybe
Well,
maybe it was really
theoretically-
it
successful.
entirely depends on how many games are released after the show, like right after the showcase.
I think there were like 3 or 4 this time.
It also
If,
depends on
if
what
they,
people
if they
like.
released all of them, that would have been a terrible idea, but that would definitely be a detriment towards their promotion.
I wonder if
Alright.
the developers get to see the whole presentation before it's released. Or just their
no,
part.
they probably only see their part just for the sake of confidential stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to. It's almost. I wonder if that's the case. If it's like when they're watching the Indie World Showcase, it almost feels like if doing like presentations in class, when the one kid goes up and gets like a really good presentation, and you're next, you're like, oh no, how am I gonna?
Oh no, they
how am I
released
gonna-
their game after 2? Crap! So this whole week, Zelda has been kind of in the spotlight lately with leaks. This week, listing for Skyward Sword on the Nintendo Switch was posted on the Amazon UK store. Generally, Amazon leaks are pretty accurate. There wasn't anything else pushing it that this was real, but because it was Amazon UK, it looked
You
pretty
said
real.
generally, like, true, right? But Kingdom Hearts is on the same page as this. Revealed 2 years before the actual date, but it never came out during that year.
Wait, Kingdom Hearts on the Switch?
No, not on the Switch. I mean, for the PS4, it was revealed that way too.
I think that was more of a speculative type of thing, and an
It was
actual.
a similar way. Like it had a listing, and it got removed instantly.
I don't know how long this one stayed up for. Pretty sure it was probably
It stayed
instantly
up for
taken
like a
down.
couple. It stayed up for like a couple of days, and then they just removed it.
Wow. Then it might be fake.
Could be fake, or could be, you never know what
Actual listing that's gonna happen eventually in the future.
That's
People
true.
didn't take this listing very lightly, though.
Grain
All the
of
fans are pretty desperate for something, and Cadence of Hyrule is clearly not something that they were looking for.
Maybe
Pretty sure-
some guy working at
Sword.
Amazon just decided to pull an epic troll on
my
everyone. It's
gosh.
like, yeah, Sunshine HD, let's add that to the listing
So the
and
problem
quickly take it off.
is with that is like you'd lose your job if you
Would you?
did that.
Yeah, you'd
if you
lose your
faked it.
job.
Would you?
But it's worth the epic gamer prank.
I
What if
doubt
it was
it.
already quitting?
There are like it is
Fun.
attention seeking for sure.
Yeah.
But
It
like,
could
would you
be.
come out and say like, "Yeah, I did it"? It's not really attention seeking because nobody knows that you did it.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about Skyward Sword coming to the Switch if this is real?
So I really
Well, it'll definitely be like 100% one of those Joy-Con only games.
Oh,
Skyward Sword was one of my favorite Zelda games, second to Twilight Princess. So
Definitely also my favorite too.
if it does come to Switch, then I'm going to be very, very happy and be gone for like a week playing that to no end.
I'm honestly kind of surprised that Skyward Sword got like a Switch port before some of like a Mario Galaxy or something, like, because those games were. I feel Skyward Sword was smaller than like some other Wii games. I mean, I'm happy
It was
that it's
definitely
coming to
one
the
of the
Switch.
last. It was definitely one of
But-
the last Wii games for sure.
It doesn't
Easier to
feel
port.
like it doesn't feel as big as if it doesn't feel as big as if they were to release like Mario Sunshine HD, Galaxy
Oh, that's 'cause
HD,
everyone-
something like
No
that.
one really hated this game.
It could be big in the context of the 35th anniversary of Zelda.
Could,
I guess.
but at
Very
the same time, there will be complaints about how they'll
control.
make the game. Controls
And
will
also-
be definitely a complaint. Like Magnet.
Even Skyward Sword, like, oh, never mind. I was gonna say before like Twilight Princess, but Twilight Princess was remastered for the Wii U, so
Oh.
never mind.
do you think they'll like
Um,
revamp it where they'll put in motion control version and like an actual just button control?
Oh, the Zelda director already deconfirmed button controls.
What?
What
Why
about-
would they
Stated
do
that
that?
What about the Switch lights then?
Oh,
They wouldn't
yeah.
know half the market.
There are Switch games that require Joy-Cons, like Super Mario Party, for example. They could have done regular controls, but they chose not to.
Yeah, that's big.
I think the
cringe.
difference though
That's
is
big
Super
cringe.
Mario Party came out before the Switch Lite was
The
released,
thing, yeah.
Also, Pokemon
so there was
Let's
less anger.
There's also Ring Fit Adventure.
But that's like specifically you need that peripheral.
Yeah.
I feel like Skyward Sword's gonna be one of those games. Is like, there's no way they're gonna make a button mapped like control scheme. And even if they did, it's probably gonna be worse than motion controls.
Well,
There's
then
probably
Like, it
gonna
can't
be
be that hard. Like, you can
It
still
can't-
have
can't
the
be.
moving the sword thing. You can hold A and then move the joystick, and that's your sword or whatever.
But that's gonna attract a lot of backlash when you think about it. No one's gonna like having to play with super gimmicky controls.
Well, all the
I
Switch
think
Lite
they'll
users
figure it
are
out.
going to be big cheese because they won't get a game other than Animal Crossing in like the past
See.
20 months.
Dakota, I would agree with you, other than the fact, like, the biggest fan problem with the Wii version was they had to recalibrate the controls constantly.
Yeah, that was definitely something a lot of players forgot to do.
Yeah.
And this
Playing through,
kind of fixed it.
personally playing through the game, if you, like, every half hour just take, like, 2 seconds to recalibrate your controls, it's not that bad. Or even when they get unsynced, it's just like, okay, just deal with it. Figure out, like, oh, if it's thinking I'm more to the left, move more to the right, and then recalibrate it, right? But if I feel like a lot of the fans, if they're like, oh, maybe they fixed Skyward Sword, but let's say they still have that recalibration aspect, then all the fans are going to start freaking out about something like that again, or start getting nitpicky about the controls.
Yeah, that's definitely a big risk if they were to.
I just feel button controls is like a really easy crowd pleaser almost. Like it just feels like a really easy way to make everyone a little more hyped for this game. Because wasn't that like the big gripe with Skyward Sword? Is I don't want to use motion controls.
Everyone hated motion controls. Okay, well,
I don't know. It
the
doesn't.
game was,
So why
the
would they
game was
remaster
pretty
the
new.
game and not add button controls? That makes no sense at all.
Yeah, I don't know,
The
guys.
game was built with that set of controls, so
Yeah.
and to change it up is
They might have like a
much of a
hybrid version
project.
because like don't you have to use motion controls for part of the game, like for some like tutorial things and stuff?
Puzzles and combat.
You could
Yeah,
still
I
use
don't know.
probably the gyro controls in
They'd
some
have to-
way.
They'd have to change up like how the actual game is played, or like that tutorial part where you have to use motion controls. They have to like I don't know if they have to like remake it or something because you can't use the motion controls, right? It'd be too easy just to click a button. That's it.
Even if they were to change up the tutorial, you still have combat to remember because some enemies are very specific in like how you defeat them.
Yeah, which direction you swing, how you
Yeah,
them.
Well, you can do like an what's it called, an Ocarina of Time kind of like that tracking thing, but then you can have like different buttons for different like directions of attack, like a vertical, horizontal, diagonal kind of attack thing. I don't know.
I don't know how they'll do diagonal attacks. If they were to do,
Well, even then, they could like make something like that. I don't know, with different buttons for different kind of attacks, with that lock on kind of.
I feel more JRPG. I'll say.
Oh, that's true. Although this is all just speculative, it is a leak. There is another Zelda leak that might have happened. We're not 100% sure, but I'm actually pretty confident in this one. A Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 Collector Edition was listed on WTNT. This website also listed The Witcher 3 early, back in 2018, and that came to fruition. The release date for the Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 Collectors is December 31st, 2020. But the listed price and the listed price lines up with the original Breath of the Wild Collector's Edition. So
Now,
Did they say it's going to be released this year?
well, it doesn't say anything about that.
I will say though, this is probably more of a placeholder thing because collector's editions are almost guaranteed for this type of game.
Yeah, the
They've done
collector is almost guaranteed. But then I saw a good note somebody commented saying like collector's editions are usually only posted like a few weeks or like a month before the game comes out. Only because there's such a low amount of them.
No, they wouldn't
So-
shadow release it like that. That's too big of a game to do that.
Well, of course they're not going to
That's
shadow
terrible
release.
marketing right there.
But,
But like
but
even
what if
just
they
a few weeks.
release
Like,
it in
weren't they-
November?
Weren't they hyping up the first game for like a couple years?
That's
like, they
only
gotta-
because they delayed it like 8 times.
True, but that got it so much hype and so much attention. So when the game actually
I mean,
came out,
there's also the Switch, which really hyped it up. That's
True.
That's a contributing
it
factor.
was like one of the only games for that at the time.
release, yeah.
You're not wrong there. I feel like this is not anything surprising. Just Zelda fans are overhyping this a little too much.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's
A
Nintendo
Zelda
fans
game
in
hasn't
general.
came out in like how long?
The same website also posted a standard edition, which was the correct price too. No box art at all.
They feel very placeholder. Like, I don't think it's anything new necessarily. And considering how the game has only been developed for just a short time, I don't think they're going to release
2
it.
years.
Like we don't even know if it's called Breath of the
Not
Wild
necessarily
2.
2 years. Kind of started in 2017, actually.
Are they using the same map for the region, or are they changing the map?
We have no idea,
Maybe.
but most likely.
Because if they use the same map, it's not going to be a big deal. It's going to be like
Might
a few
be
years at the most.
A
People
lot of
always
fans are
say
going to buy
that
this because they enjoyed Breath of the Wild compared to most other Zelda games. And that's
people always
pretty
make
much
the comparison between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and then there was like 2 years between there, and they use all the same assets. So 2 years between each game, 2 or 3, give or take.
Yeah, but
It's
the
not
same map,
the
let's see.
worst.
It's
having the same map is going to be really, it's going to be pain. It's going to really drive down sales, I feel like. Because people, what really sold the game was the open worldness and the exploring part of it, right? And if you have the same map, I don't know, just doesn't have the same thing, same kind of
What
feel.
if they
They're
just
definitely
bring
gonna
together
introduce-
a bunch of stuff from old games, like the Underworld or whatever it's called from
That would just be
Link to the
nostalgia
Past.
baiting.
Low World,
That'd be big cringe.
Low World, there
Dark
we go.
World, Twilight. They have all this other stuff.
Wouldn't that be cool for the 35th anniversary 2021 release?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that'd be kinda
Nintendo.
cringe.
The thing with Zelda games is that they want to make every Zelda game unique in its own way. Like even with the similarities between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, the two games are very unique in their own way. I feel like that's going to apply with Breath of the Wild too. They're not going to make it very similar to any past Zelda games.
I just don't think like there'd be more of an announcement, at least like a little bit of announcement. Like we don't know anything about this game. I don't feel like out of like the last like within I just feel there'd be a little bit more of if it was going to come out so soon that there'd be like a little bit more build up to it rather than like imagine a month before the game comes out or something. They just drop all the information. I don't think that would be very smart. That would just be like
It'll definitely be a bad decision.
I don't
So
know.
what
It just
about-
feels like
What about this timeline? It releases March 2021. They do a reveal trailer, like a proper one, on the rumored August 28th this year. They do a trailer there, and then every month or so they just give out like another trailer or some more information until March 2021.
That'd be great.
I guess
that doesn't sound like a bad idea. No.
That'd be great. Keep it in the headlines for multiple months. Get the hype brewing. And then when March, whatever, 31st comes, drop
Because they
it.
usually
Boom.
do, like an example would be like a December Nintendo Direct or a January Nintendo Direct.
Oh.
There's another time to just advertise a game.
Okay, but I think the biggest thing
And it's in
is
the
2
35th
years,
anniversary.
right? Like 2 years between games doesn't seem very like it doesn't seem possible because of COVID. Like I can see 2 years between like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. There wasn't really anything in between that would impede their progress. Well, there's like months cut off. So at least probably a little later because
Well, it depends
I don't
if they're
know.
using assets in the same map and stuff, right? Because
I
if
guess
they
it
are,
depends
then
how far along they are in development right now. Like if they like got a good chunk of the game done before all this happened, then the rest could be like
they might have been working on it the entire time that COVID shut everything down too, right? They might have just been working.
They've been working since Breath of the Wild was released, or at least assuming, like based on previous Zelda games, they always start the next game right after the release of the previous game. So
As most
they're
games do.
probably like 3-ish years into development right now.
So like 4 years after the release of the first one, the second one comes out. That's not the
That
4
doesn't
years
sound
is a
like
pretty good gap.
4 years is a long time.
Consider like the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Those two games are more similar than people think. They use the same engine, but the only difference is the art style, and that took
And
4
what was the
years.
gap?
Well,
It
like, with
was
an
a
art
4 year.
style,
It was a 4 year gap.
That's pretty good
Yeah.
for 4 years.
yeah, like considering a different art style doesn't mean they can reuse like any asset. It's like all have like
combat
a
system
ton
was-
of remodeling.
It was mainly retexturizing and modifying the engine, but they use the same engine.
Yeah, the Wind Waker is like the only Legend of Zelda game I've properly played. Still haven't beat it. But yeah.
There's also the whole trailer pattern that people take into account when they're talking about release dates.
Okay, I don't know about that.
Typically, a trailer would be released like 1.5 years before the actual release of a game. I think that's where people start speculating that 2020, like holiday 2020, would be the release date. And
This feels
is
a
where
little bit like a conspiracy theory, but okay.
Yeah.
this is where it's not true, because Breath of the Wild 2's trailer only showcased a cutscene as opposed to gameplay. Other games, their reveal trailers actually showcase some amount of gameplay. I feel like that's where fans are kind of overhyping the game too much. All this speculation over patterns, it's definitely driving the Zelda community to a point where their expectations are a little high right now.
Very high.
That's how ambitious Breath of the Wild 2 is now. But these leaks, it doesn't make it any better.
I don't know if it's ambition. It's more like people are just overhyping it. They have such high expectations because the first game was so great, right? And that could eventually lead to the downfall of the second one. I mean, not meeting up to the same hype, not innovating or anything.
That'd be so disappointing.
It would be very, yeah.
Consider Majora's Mask. That game impressed some fans despite being a really different game. And some fans hated it as well because it was so different. It's that kind of situation where you can say it can be successful over time. Launch it might not be.
Well, I think judging by the last game, how it won an award for best game of the year, whatever it was, we could say
Oh yeah,
the
game
second
of the
game.
year.
We could say
Yeah, I
people
don't think
like
a sequel to Breath of the Wild is gonna bomb.
Yeah, like it's gonna have like a lot of people that played the first game are gonna come back and try this one. The people that waited like a few months to get it and were just listening to what people say, if the reviews are positive, they're gonna buy it. If they're negative, they might hold off. So that's really gonna be the thing that dictates whether or not it's successful, right?
It's like movies. Like if a movie does
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
the sequel is almost guaranteed to also do well.
Mhm.
But even if the sequel sucks, like for example, Spider-Man 3, by far the worst in that trilogy, but it made the most money because Spider-Man 2 came right before it. I mean,
Or
I
even
personally,
or even since it has like the name Breath of, or like Legend of Zelda, that whole series, people love the games. That might just carry, like, that partially carries the series, kind of like Star Wars did with the new
If you slap a name
sequels.
on it, it'll
Even though all the
sell.
movies were kind of bad, like people still came out and watched it. Like even if this game
Yeah.
is bad, it'll still make money based on that name alone.
Actually,
has
I
any Zelda
probably-
game bombed?
Actually, a Zelda game's
Triforce Heroes.
Triforce Heroes
Oh.
really it was
Like a mainline one.
Yeah, but
is
that
what
game's
I'm more
kind of
thinking.
unknown.
that is mainline though. That's the problem.
Probably any of the handheld ones would technically bomb in a way.
I'd say Link's Awakening, the remake, was certainly not as successful as Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
that goes to show how even if you slap a name
Well,
on,
of
some
course.
people just don't care.
Yeah. Well, it did look kind of lame. Like the only thing that was really big about it was the new art style, right? It looked the exact same, and people don't necessarily want to play that game again. Like they already had that semi remake on the 3DS, right? So, and then people look at this like,
no, that was just the Game Boy Color port, the Virtual Console thing. That was something.
anyways.
I guess people didn't like the pricing for Link's Awakening on the Switch because it
It
was a full priced game, but
Yeah, it didn't look like it had the content to be a full price game though.
it's I guess that's really just how it is.
I think the moral of this story is real or fake. People are gonna hype up anything related to Nintendo because
All except for like Cadence of Hyrule, I'll give it that. It's even though I know
well,
it's an
especially
indie
now.
game,
Like,
People
no
were
matter
I'm happy
they
with
could
that game.
announce. They could announce, like, the DS Mario versus Donkey Kong games. They could release a new one of those and people would be overhyped for it. Like, Right now,
It'll
Nintendo
sell.
could probably release anything and people will go crazy if it's anything mainline because they're like,
Well, I mean, Paper Mario kind of was. Look, it was close to being shadow dropped.
well, yeah, but that's
I'd
because
say
like
it's
if you
definitely a
market
mixed
anything
reaction
well,
game.
people will buy it.
I think I said something to
But-
Nathan. It was like, keep your expectations low and your hopes high, and you'll always be satisfied.
And I replied to you saying that fans kind of use those two words interchangeably.
Yeah, that's
feel
very
like-
true.
I think that's part of the problem in terms of overhyping a game. People match their expectations with their hopes,
Yeah.
opposed to looking at some situations realistically, whether it's delays of a game or like issues within a game. Oh,
There's
Metroid
two
Prime
types
4.
of people in the world.
Metroid Prime 4 is a big example.
There's two types of people in the world: those who go into a indie showcase and are happy with what they see, and those who go into an indie showcase hoping they will reveal Shantae for Smash.
Gino for Smash.
Gino's not indie though. That's the thing.
I
glass
guess,
is
yeah,
em-
that's technically.
The glass is half empty, the glass is half full.
Thank you for tuning in to the Switch Clicks podcast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter to keep up to date. Subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or you can email us questions at the SwitchClicksPodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to tune in next time for the next episode of the Switch Clicks podcast.